All right, let's go ahead and jump into some of these Chapter 5 exercises. Obviously, as we move into Chapter 5, things are, kind of picking up in pace quite a bit. There's a lot more to do now that we have some of these basics covered, and we can start really building out some of these programs. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start here in this Chapter 5 project that I have. I'm going to go ahead and create a new Python file, and we're going to go ahead and call it Chapter 5 EX. Oh, we're going to make sure that we don't get that all cap. 1 through 3. All right, so as I mentioned in the videos, hopefully you were able to work your way through those things. We're going to be doing conditionally executed mains from here on out. Okay, so every single submission that you make, I want to make sure that you actually have those set up in conditional execution. Now, what that means for having multiple exercises in the same Python function is you're just going to have to kind of pile it all together, or you can do multiple different Pythons. And in fact, let me just show you how to do multiple different Python files for each of these exercises. So we're going to go ahead and create a Python file. We're going to make this one Chapter 5 Exercise 1. All right, so again, best way to do this is to go ahead and just copy the information, paste it in. Again, we're copying that from Canvas. We're going to paste that in. We're going to use Control/ to make that into a comment, a group of comments. Okay, so whenever you're reading through these, they're getting a little bit more complicated, so I'm just going to kind of unpack this for you by, in terms of what I mean. Okay, so when I say create a conditionally executed main method, all I mean by that is you type MA, hit enter, and then make sure that you have a main method call, okay, and then you set up a main method. All right. Okay, so create a conditionally executed main method. This is literally what I mean. This is all that I mean there. Okay, so don't be overwhelmed by sort of how it's written there in words. Okay, so second step, define a function called product. We know how to do this kind of thing, and I can just call this foo, right? Okay, so that's not a big deal. I've got it defined. It's in place. Everything is looking good. Okay, so the product function will take in a couple values, multiply them, and print the values to the console. Okay, so we know that we're going to need to take values in. Okay, so obviously we're going to be throwing in some parameters, right? So we have two values, and then inside of here, I'm just going to be multiplying things. Okay, something like that. Okay. So it can be very simple. You could also make it more complicated, right? You can actually do, like prod, and you can do the multiplication here, and then you can print that. Oops. You can print that out by itself, right? Okay. So that's an accurate representation of sort of what that is, which is it takes in two values, which is a representation of these parameters. It will multiply them. Okay. So these two are multiplied. And then it will print the values to the console, okay? And actually what I mean by that is I want you to print the value. I will fix that I'll fix that in Canvas for you guys. So so it will print that value then, and it'll come back, okay? So it's very simple. All right, so again, define a function called sum. You're going to do the same thing. The sum function is going to take two values, same thing, add them, and then print those values, okay? So now in the main method, we have to actually call these things, okay? So I'm going to actually tell you in most of these cases to call these and how to call them from the main method, okay? So I'm going to make two variables, A equals 5 or A equals 6 and B equals, 6, whatever. And then I'm going to say, call the product at some functions with two variables. Okay, so then I can call the, for this particular instance, I can call the foo function with A and B. Okay, so that's a brief little overview. Again, the biggest part about this is that create a conditionally executed main method. Whenever you create a function, you want to just go ahead and just, essentially define it and then do a pass, and then you can fill that out with all the details following it, okay? So that is exercise number 1.